You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Catch every UFC pay-per-view live in full HD at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/The Sports Fix, Facebook.com/The Sports Fix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. It's that simple.
Twitter.com/The Sports Fix CLE, baby.
Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, The Sports Fix on social media, Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Join The Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
Hey, it's Hugh Hewitt, and when I want to know what's going on with the Cavs, the Browns, and the Tribe, I tune into Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
That's right, because Hugh Hewitt is a man. Hugh Hewitt listens to the Sports Fix. You tell him, Hugh. What's up, everybody? Welcome in, as you hear. Bear with me today. Been through the wars again this weekend, and I've honey and lemon juice and did all the tricks to get it on the air, baby. But gonna be a little scratchy in the voice area today as we did a little pro wrestling this weekend, driving up and down, going all over. Sports here, sports there, sports everywhere, man. So I'm coming in wounded. I'm rough and and we haven't even talked about the Browns game yet, and I'm already coming in bleeding and wounded animal. Welcome in, you guys, to the Sports Fix. We've got a lot to get into today, and as you can hear, all joking aside, my voice is gone. I'm shot today, so help a brother out. We're going to open up the phone lines. I've got several guests. Of course, it's Monday. Dan Wismar is going to join us, my man. From the Cleveland Fan. He'll be talking Browns and Buckeye. We're all going to be talking Browns. We'll talk some Buckeyes as they stomp on Rutgers. We'll talk to John McMullen from the Sports Network. He's going to join us just about 35 minutes from now. Of course, we'll talk Browns, all the slate around the NFL. Peyton Manning sets the touchdown record. All the things that happened this weekend in the NFL. John McMullen joins us for his weekly spot right here on the show. I'm going to open up the phones. Of course, we're going to, let's talk about this weekend a little bit here. It's kind of set the stage because really we were close. It's a couple of weeks here, man, that we've been close to the, I don't want to say totally perfect sports weekend, but man, I was doing all right this weekend. Feel me. See if you're with me here. I think a lot of you are with me here. Things were going rather swell. Let's rewind back, way back machine to Friday. We're wrapping up. We're getting off the air. I said, all right, fellas, I'm hit the bricks. We're going to call it a weekend. I'm going to watch my son. He's playing some varsity football tonight. Then I'm shooting out. I've got my game and so on and so forth at the end of last week. So Friday, things are going well. Everything's doing well. I go call Willoughby South over on 1330. Wow, let me tell you something. My first look at them, I know a lot of you guys aren't from Northeast Ohio right now, so you're not hip to all the high school football. DJ Green is the real deal over there. He was our player of the game after the game, and as I was making the notation for the Pat O'Brien Chevrolet player of the game, you owe me one, Pat O'Brien. As I was making the notation for DJ Green, I looked at Nate, the guy that was doing the commentary with me. I said, so how many times has he won on your broadcast? He goes, man, almost all of them. I said, it makes about sense. I'll tell you, that was the this line's going to sting Browns fans, but that was one of the best offensive lines I've seen in some of the games that I've called so far. Man, they move like a well-oiled machine. Willoughby South Rebels, home of Ethan Carter III, my man from TNA Wrestling. You guys know I trained my man, and he's ruling the world over there on Wednesday nights on Spike TV. He's a rebel coming from Willoughby South. Had a good time, too, at halftime, talking to the athletic director. But, man, so things are rolling. We had a great night. And let me tell you the coolest part about it is, I'm not even joking, they have a real-life cannon out there at Willoughby South. Like, real cannon. Matter of fact, the AD said, yeah, it's great. The cost isn't so great, but, especially a night like tonight where we're scoring a lot, so we're blowing this thing up. I'm doing the commentary, right? And it's only my first season doing play-by-play here for WINT. So this was my first experience at this. I'm sitting there with Nate Marinchik. We're calling the game. And early on, DJ Green, who I just mentioned, he scoots out through the middle. He's gone. 45-yard touchdown. Bam. Untouched. Great running back. I'm sitting there. I'm looking to the left and from the right. And during the pregame, there were some helicopters hovering during my coach's interviews. So keep that in mind as I tell you what I'm going to say next. Boom! Here comes the loud. It's a legitimate cannon burst. Bam! Goes off on the field. Smoke everywhere. Now we've had a helicopter during the pregame. We've got a cannon going off. I looked at Nate. I said, man, I think we're under attack, man. I'm just saying. But it was the coolest thing. And they blow it off every time that they score. That's taking the fun to another level. I love it. I said, man, we got pyro and smoke out here, and they blew them out. It was 39-7 was the final score, so they ended up blowing that cannon off quite a few times. But I'm like, all right, man, it was really a fun night. And talk about perfect night. The weather, it was supposed to rain all night. Literally, the game ends. We're doing the post-game show. We wrap up the final segment. We give away the player of the game, and Nate looks up, and we can see it in the lights. The sheet of rain just come down. We missed it just barely through the window. So, that's a good thing when you're able to get out of there with the equipment and get out of the stadium without getting drenched on. It was a beautiful night. Cannons were going off. Nobody was injured in the attack. It was great. So anyways, Saturday, here we go. Buckeyes take care of business. They slap around Rutgers. They do what they got to do. By the way, don't forget, Dan Wismar is going to be with us in just about an hour to talk about that game. But Buckeyes do their thing. I hit the road with my son. Little Jerry and I are rolling. We hit Pittsburgh. I know, I voluntarily left Cleveland and headed up to Pittsburgh. But anyways, besides that aspect of the day, things were great. IWC 200th show that they've ever run, one of their big anniversary shows. The IWC, for those of you guys that are into pro wrestling, it is one of the best independent pro wrestling promotions in the country, in the world, really. I mean, it's at the top of any list you'll put together, and I've been honored to be a part of it for over a decade, man, and really, it's just, you go look at the list of the guys who have performed there before, it's anybody and everybody you've ever heard of. I mean, from the best in the world to the best of the best, they've all been there, brother, and anyway, so very honored to be a part of that. I went out there, we drove out there, had a great time. There's something too. This is, and I know I got to get going with the show here, you guys. I'm just kind of, hey, maybe I'm putting off the inevitable. Everybody else has already got you in the moaning and groaning mood from this weekend. We'll get to there soon enough, so enjoy the reprieve before we get to that part of the show. But anyways, it was kind of a cool thing because the first time that I went to IWC was in 2004. And that was my first show for them. And my dad and I drove up together. Of course, you guys know that listen all the time. My dad's passed a few years ago. And anyways, so here I was making the trip back up there. And I haven't been to Pittsburgh in about 3.5, 4 years to wrestle. And so here I am with my son making the trip. And I looked at him and I had just realized it at that point. I said, the first time I made this trip, man, it was with your grandpa, man. So anyways, it was a cool thing. Went up there, rolled. Big crowd, nice, made a little money, had a nice drive back, missed all the bad weather. There's rain going on all around us, and we kind of missed it all. Getting there and going back. So again, the weekend's looking great, right? It's like, hey, perfect weekend, sports weekend, everything's going great. You guys are probably with me. You wake up Sunday morning, you get your cup of Java going, you get yourself going. The big sun walks in your kitchen. What? No bacon? No potatoes? Bam, you have some breakfast, and here we go. Fantasy football lineups are set. 1 o'clock's coming around. What's left? What can go wrong at this point, right? Except the Jaguars kick the tails off of the Browns. I mean, from beginning to end. Seriously, I'm still, as we speak, I'm still getting text messages from my friends around the country, especially some of the Cleveland guys. Go, what happened? Somebody tell me what happened yesterday. I don't have the answer to that question. I'm just going to, if you're tuning in here, I may be able to help you answer a lot of questions you may have in life. That's not one of them. I cannot tell you what happened yesterday, short of the fact that the team that deserved to win that football game yesterday won that football game yesterday. I'm taking nothing away from the Jacksonville Jaguars. They wanted to beat the Browns. They came out and they beat the Browns. That's all there is to it. They beat the pants off of the Cleveland Browns. Brian Hoyer was terrible yesterday. I'll be the first one to tell you, and you guys know that's my man. Brian Hoyer was terrible yesterday. So was his supporting cast, the offensive line. Boy, I mean, all you have to know is that by halftime, I had 17 texts on my phone that mentioned Alex Mack at some point in the sentence, because clearly, I mean, we saw throughout the game that was an issue, and we knew it was. And you know what? I was talking to some people yesterday during the game, and I'll be the first one to admit, we'll get into the game here after the break. We'll dive into it. I'm going to open up the phone lines for you guys. But I even admitted a mistake that I made last week while I was watching the game. I said last week, when you switched Greco over to center, he really didn't miss a beat, but it was in the line of fire. The bullets were flying, so I don't think it was necessarily the right representation, because as we saw, Greco had a lot more trouble with it yesterday, because not only did the other team have a whole week to get ready, but also, right, exactly, Vashon's on the point that I'm going to right now. In the mid-game, you were able to make it last for a half, but now you had to deal with it for an entire week. Not only get ready for it, and not only was Jacksonville getting ready for it, but it's in his mind, too. I mean, Greco now has been asked all week, is it going to be a problem? And he's had to think about it. He didn't have to think about it during the game. It was, John, slide over to center. Paul, slide over to guard. Nobody had any time to think about it. So you didn't have time to psych yourself out. John Greco had all week. I'm not saying he psyched himself out, but you tell me you wouldn't be thinking about that all week, too. And you could see McQuiston was obviously a drop-off from Greco over at the guard position too, because he got blown through right away. So clearly there was an issue there on the offensive line, but it was way, way, way more than just that. I mean, the running game, third best in the NFL coming in, nobody could run, and I don't care who it was. And I've got play calling questions. I've got quarterback questions. You can say the defense wasn't the fault in this. I will agree to disagree to a point. Of course, you get 3 interceptions. You need to get more than 6 points off of that. Come on, that's absolute garbage. But in that vein, you're letting last I checked, Denard Robinson was a quarterback for the Wolverines. No, I understand that he's got some running back skill. I'm being tongue-in-cheek there. Boy, did he show Ohio something yesterday, though. But, I mean, come on. You make it another running back look like the second coming of Walter Payton, this one being Denard Robinson. They, again, gashed all over the place with the running attack. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to get into the Browns game, and I want to get into it with you. Let's do this. By the way, I haven't even introduced the show, so let's rock and roll. As you hear, you see where my perfect sports weekend fell off the cliff, and that's where yours did too. So let's pick up the sports fix right there. We're talking Browns. We've got John McMullen. We're talking NFL. Dan Wismar is going to talk some Browns, talk some Buckeyes. We're going to hit the Cavaliers. They got a preseason game tonight. Interesting story out of the NHL. There's a difference in how they handle domestic violence. So I got a lot of things to talk about. Let's do it. Welcome into the sports fix, baby. J-Rock with you. Jerry Myers, locking and loading and rocking things for today's edition of the show. Thank you so much for being with us, as you hopefully are. Maybe it's the first time, or maybe you're here with us each and every weekday at noon live right here on the sportsfix.net, on the Sportsfix Radio Network, which may mean, as I just mentioned, the website, thesportsfix.net. Maybe you're listening to us on TuneIn and TuneIn's radio app worldwide in Crystal HD audio. Maybe you're enjoying the show on Spreaker and Mixler and their respective digital and mobile applications as well. And of course, welcome in, one and all, to the thousands of you listening 24/7 on digital delay on iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider, on iTunes. Those of you that download us there on Stitcher and CarPlay and SoundCloud and all the other places that you download, listen, feed, subscribe, whatever you want to call it, however you do it. Thank you so much for being with us. As I said, I'm J-Rock. I am the Big Daddy on the microphone and the coordinator and conductor of the madness here on the Sports Fix, and I want you to join me. I want you to do it now. Pick up the phone. Somebody out there has got something to say. Pick up the phone and let me hear it. Put it on the air. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. 216-539-7535. If you can't get to the phone, then you know how we do it. Facebook, Twitter, email, social media, it up. Facebook.com/